Hey, what's happening everyone? Journeyman here, and welcome back to Weston Super Mare. This is the season conclusion for my second season in charge. We're also going to take on Chester and take a look at the future of the team. Hey everyone, once again, welcome back to Weston Super Mare and what will be a Season 2 conclusion episode today. So, the game in hand, we have Chester away from home. Let's take a look at some of the fixtures since the last time you joined us. Now, last time out, it was a very disappointing 5-2 defeat against Gateshead. We followed up with another disappointing defeat, 4-0 against Cheltenham. But after that, after a quick kind of team talk midweek, things improved. We beat Southport 1-0, Aldershot 2-0. Lost narrowly to Wealdstone 2-1, beat Torquay 2-1 with our new signings, getting 2 goals there, and then most recently beat Bromley comfortably at home 3-0. So let's speak about some signings and transfers coming in, transfers going out, etc. Now eventually I've only brought in one player, and that's Kane Smith. Now as a right back I've had an eye on for quite some time. I've scouted him thoroughly, and so far he's been really good for me, and I feel like he fits the role of a fullback on attack really nicely. As you can see, 2 goals, 2 assists, 2 man of the match awards, an average rating of 7.94. He's had a really good start to his time here at Weston Super Mare. Now future transfers coming in, I actually agreed to sign a few players. First of all, we have Fahad. I'm not even going to try and pronounce his name. I'm actually going to change his nickname right now. I'm just going to change it to Fahad, be honest with you. What can I do? Here you go, Fahad. Let's get rid of that first name. Last name, I should say. There you go, Fahad. So I brought him in as basically he's going to be a ball-winning midfielder, maybe a deep line playmaker. He has notched up 9 assists this season for Hampton and Richmond. Average rating of 6.6 in the league. And the former Portsmouth man should be a pretty good signing for us. And then I also brought in Herson Alves, who a player I brought on trial, and to forward scout. And I feel like he's going to be a really good player. And I was going to compete with James Jenkins for that attacking midfield spot. What I'm going to do is actually going to retrain him to be a deep line playmaker to play centre midfield, because I feel like his physical attributes, he could do a pretty good job there for me. So those basically completes the transfer news as of right now. Let's talk about this squad and the future of the squad real quick. So basically, I have quite a few players that are still on non-contract deals. Players like Paul Bignut, who's played really well for me at the end of the season. 20 appearances, 10 assists, which is an amazing record, to be honest with you. So I'm most likely to try and keep him on as a backup right back, even though he is kind of getting on in age. Then we have Ugo Adoji, a player that I also might keep on just because of his determination, so he makes a really good tutor to younger players. Kristen Scott is a player I've given every opportunity to try and impress me, and so far he hasn't really been anything special, and I feel like maybe I can bring in a better quality player than him, than give him a full-time deal. Willie, unfortunately, will likely be out. He just hasn't fit into the team this year. I thought he might get a bit more games as an attacking midfielder, but the former James Jenkins and the very limited performance he's had, he's only got an average rating of 6.64, so he hasn't really set the world alight. Next up, Pierce Mitchell. Now, this is a very interesting player that I'm contemplating keeping just because he is pretty well-rounded. He's only 21 years old. He could get a little bit better. He's got good strength, solid pace, concentration's okay, decision-making's good, heading's good, tackling, marking. He's got all the right kind of attributes you'd want in a centre-half, and I feel like he could be a really nice kind of 3rd or 4th option for injuries and stuff like that. And if I get him on a cheap deal, I probably will keep him on. Then we have Dion McFoy-Johnson, a player I've actually played a little bit more at the end of the season. I feel like he's going to kind of level out maybe a 2-star striker, just because if you look at his mental attributes, it's really just not good enough. I'm actually going to enlarge that for you guys. Yeah, I mean, it's going to take a lot for him to really be able to compete in this league and score a lot of regular goals. He's done very well in the limited games he's got. He hasn't scored in the league, but he's got goals from the FA Cup and the FA Trophy. And disappointing, really, because I did see a little bit of a future in him, but I just hasn't seen enough growth and development for him this season, so he's likely going to be out the door. Then we have Sakuna, a player that I really wanted to keep, but I can't justify paying what he wants. Right now, he wants about £600 a week, and that money could be spent on two players probably of equal quality. So as of right now, unless his demands change, it's unlikely that I'll be keeping him on. Unless he wants to stay on a non-contract deal, then I'll keep him around. Connor Deards is next up. He's pretty much gone. I've tried to move him on as quickly as I can. That'd be £240 off the wage bill, which would be nice. Then we got Joe Steele. Joe Steele is another player that wants a lot of money to stay, and that's someone I'm going to have to think about maybe moving on from. He's a really nice, solid season. I mean, average rating of 7.11, as you can see there, and he's, generally speaking, actually played pretty well. Even though he's made 52 mistakes in the league, that's actually a pretty high amount. And apart from that, though, he's been pretty good, honestly, and he's a very solid ball-playing defender, and that's obviously a very hard role to fill lower in the league. So we'll have to see what happens with him. If I can't find a better player to replace him, I may re-sign him, but as of right now, he wants too much money for him to stay. Luke Purnell. Now, bit of a conundrum with this guy, too. Has had a really good season despite conceding 72 goals. Mistakes-wise, he's only made 19 mistakes, which is a lot for a goalkeeper. But apart from that, he's had a pretty good season overall. I feel I can get a better goalkeeper in for the price he's asking. The loan signings, obviously Delaney, South and Williams will return to their home club. I'll probably negotiate with them in off-season if their contracts are expiring. I try to sign him right now on free agency by basically just giving them nothing. The club's accepted it, but all the players, apart from Delaney, didn't even want to enter negotiations. Delaney wanted like £700 a week, and that's something I'm not going to give him for a player that's barely played because of fitness concerns. Then we have Scott Davis, who was actually signed on for another season. I'm going to try and move on from him. He's been a garbage signing ever since that injury. He started off really promisingly, but the injury knocked a lot out of him. And at 30 years old, he's certainly not going to get any better. So I'm going to try and move on from him really quick. So the rest of the squad, obviously a lot of these players are leaving, which is going to be a huge turnover. It's going to be a little bit of a mini rebuild. But as long as we can kind of build the team around some of the key players, at the back, obviously Lafania Rowe Turner is going to be staying, Divine is going to be staying, and Kane Smith. So that's basically 3 out of our back 4. In midfield, we're going to have Fitzgerald for another season, who's solid. Dan Sweeney is going to be an important player for there. Obviously, Fahad's going to come in. Alves is going to come in. Obviously, James Jenkins is around as well. Reece Wedderburn, I'm hoping for a little bit more in next season. We'll have to see how he kind of reacts to being benched for most of the season. And then, apart from that, we don't have much to work with. So I'm going to have to look to bring in maybe a few more players. Because, I mean, if you look at our under 23s and under 18s, there's not really a lot of talent there, to be honest with you. Will Brett is going to be staying with us as a backup goalkeeper. Or if I can't find another goalkeeper, he'll start next season. Obviously, I'm on the lookout for a good goalkeeper, though. And Jamie Horncastle, he's actually due to contract to expire, but he still has a little bit of a potential. The only thing that lets him down, really, is his acceleration, which I don't like to be that low in a centre half. But apart from that, he really isn't a bad player. If he wants to stay on a cheap deal, maybe that's something we can arrange. As far as staff members go, there's already been a couple changes. I had to release my assistant manager, who didn't want to re-sign, and also my head physio, who was retiring at the end of the year. So a couple of changes regarding staff. Let's look at the coaching team real quick. And I replaced our assistant manager with Danny Hall, a very talented assistant manager, to be honest with you, much better than my previous one. Judge and player ability of 12 and 11, which is great because a man management 14. So it gives me a much more accurate rating as far as the star system goes, and that's useful to have. And then obviously I replaced our head physio as well. I'm not going to show that. It's not really very interesting. As far as competitions go, as you can see, we wanted to avoid relegation at the beginning of the season, and we did really well. We're finishing right now anywhere between 11th to maybe 13th based on our goal difference, based on the results of today. So we've had a really good season as far as the Vanarama National League. Next season, as long as we can make the right signings and the right progress, we should be able to maintain our league status again. I'm hoping I can bring in the right players to make a promotion push, obviously because FM18 is just around the corner, so ideally I would like to get as far as I can with this club. So maybe I'm going to be aggressive in the transfer market and maybe push for big signings in the summer. And with that in mind, maybe playoffs isn't out of the question for next year. The board expected to reach the first round. We made the first round and we were knocked off by a team in the higher division, so the board wasn't dissatisfied with that. And then with the board expectation, we reached the second round of the FA Trophy. We actually made it to the third round as we were knocked out from Lincoln. So overall, competition-wise, we had a really, really good, solid year. Now, finances, not so much. We've been a little bit haphazard on the finances this year, largely because of the expansion to the stadium that needed to be done to meet the league requirements. So obviously, that took a lot out of us. Yeah, I mean, that's pretty much the main reason why we've lost so much money. Obviously, we're going to have to try and maybe get that under wraps a little bit more, because I don't want to go into a situation where we're going into a bankruptcy and stuff like that, because that's a whole kind of messy, nasty situation. That's something I want to avoid in this save. So, what else can we talk about real quick? That's really about it, be honest with you. We have one more game. As I said, this is going to be the season conclusion to the year, I suppose. And obviously, going into next season, I would like... maybe I like to change my way I do my saves. That's something I have to think about during the summer months. And ideally, I'd like to get through the summer as quickly as possible to continue this save for the channel. So at left back, Turner's going to come in at left back today for Delaney. Again, this has been an issue. I'm not quite sure if it's a bug or something, but despite being 99% or 100% match sharpness, the physical condition, for some reason on loan sign-ins, occasionally fluctuates. Like it'll be 79%, or in this case 84% for no reason. Not sure if that's an issue. Let me know if you've had any issues like that before in the comments below. Obviously, I won't feel as crazy or be as mad about it if it's a common game error. But anyway, this is the team we're going into today's lineup with. So Kane Smith at right back had a really good start. Joe Steele, Devine, Turner, Brealey, Sweeney, Fitzgerald, Jenkins, Southwell, Williams. A lot of these players will be making the last appearance for the club today. Likes of Purnell, maybe Steele, and obviously the Southwell and Williams. Unless they decide to come back to us, which they will be welcome back with welcome arms. So yes, let's go into today's game against Chester. Chester are favourites to win. Not really a surprise. They're still technically able to qualify for the playoffs, even though there's a heavy difference in goal difference. So it'd be very surprising if they can make the playoffs. And as for us, we can't get any higher than what we are, which is 11th place. But we could potentially drop down to 13th or 14th if it's a heavy, heavy defeat. But we're hoping that won't happen. So, yeah, good start there as well. 1-0 up, on goal from George, across from Dale Southwell. And looks like a pretty standard Football Manager own goal there. Take a look at the replay. Yep, pretty embarrassing stuff. I really hope they fix this 3D match engine in the next version of the game. Here's another chance. Williams shoots, but it's blocked. Chance isn't over yet. See if we can do anything with it. Williams to Fitzgerald. Fitzgerald to Jenkins. And cleared by Dale. Only as far as Kane Smith, who plays it away to Devine. So a good start to the game so far. Putting them under a lot of pressure. And obviously getting the early goal helps. Let's see. Roturner's going to hit this forward to Williams. Williams square to Kane Smith. Smith for a great ball forward to Southwell. Southwell gets passes the man, but he shoots it straight at the goalkeeper. Good chance for Dale Southwell. Probably should be 2-0 up. Alright, so approaching halftime here. Still 1-0. Still playing very well. Good amount of possession. Obviously, had a couple of clear-cut chances. We maybe should be 2-0 up. We'll feel a little bit better about the game if we were. Let's go ahead and give these guys a bit more of an encouraging team talk. And tell them to push on in the second half. Because, again, I'd like to finish the season off with a win. That'll be ideal. Kind of helps momentum going into off-season. Here's maybe a chance right from the kickoff, though. Sellers whips it in to Alabi, who scores straight from the kickoff of the second half. Awful way to start the second half. James Alabi getting his 15th goal of the season. Sellers whips that in. Alabi with a good first touch, and he just plays it past Luke Purnell in goal. Okay, so here's another chance. Alabi flicks it on into the hands of Luke Purnell. Let's see if he can set up a counter-attack. He lays it off to Roturner on the left. Turn inside to Fitzgerald. Fitzgerald, where are you going with that ball, son? Nope, nowhere. Okay, so lays it off to Turner to Jenkins. Jenkins to Williams. Williams looks for Brealey. Can't find him. Smith does well to scoop up the play, though. Southwell to Brealey. Brealey to Fitzgerald. Fitzgerald has a couple of options ahead of him, but he plays it back to Turner instead. Good patient build-up, so this is really nice football. Brealey plays the Southwell. Is through on goal, shoots and straight at Lynch. Good save from the keeper, but Southwell probably should have done better the effort. That actually goes down as a clear-cut chance as well. Here's maybe a chance from the corner. Really whips it in. Look from Williams, can't find him, and the ball is cleared from the Chester defence. So a pretty exciting start to the second half. Obviously, them scoring an early goal, and we've had a couple of opportunities since then to maybe pull ahead again. Here's maybe another chance to score. Sweeney whips us across. Can't find Smith, and is intercepted well. And it's a counter-attack opportunity for Chester. McKee is through on goal. Great tackle from Sweeney, but it lands to Dale, who tucks it home from the edge of the 6-yard box. Owen Dale gets his 13th goal of the season. Good tackle there from Dan Sweeney on the cover, but Dale was never going to miss after Purnell tried to close down what should have been really a clear-cut chance for them. So 60 minutes gone. We are 2-1 down. Ideally, I'd like to get a positive result from today. I don't want to bring off Southwell. He's our top goal scorer, not to mention we're probably never going to see him in a Weston Super Mare shirt again. So let's let him finish the game for us. Let's bring on Kristen Scott for Theo Brealey. Move him to the deep line playmaker role. It's a bit more natural there, and Dan Sweeney can be a ball-winning midfielder. All right, so that'll be the only change I'm making. Let's also switch to an attacking mentality, and let's give these guys a little bit of a team talk, a little bit of encouragement. Let's encourage them. Ball's whipped in. It's off the line, and maybe should be 3-1 down there. But that was a good clearance there from Roturn on the line, doing his job, staying on the post. All right, so we got about 10 minutes left to go here. Maybe a chance. Fitzgerald to Jenkins, who scores. James Jenkins, who's had a wonderful season. That's his 12th goal of the season, and he's already got 17 assists so far this season, average rating of 7.25. He has been an absolutely inspirational signing. If you actually look at his technical ability, isn't really that good, but mentally and physically outstanding. He's only 22 years old as well, so there is the potential he could get a little bit better in the future, but nevertheless, he's had a fantastic year. It'll be interesting between him and Alves, who's going to win that attacking midfield spot. I mean, I said ideally I'd like to have Alves retrain as a centre midfielder, but if not, James Jenkins can also play as a striker, so that's maybe something I have to explore in the off-season with some pre-season games. Alright, so Glasgow inside to George. George, it's long to Alabi. Alabi is through, but good tackle there from Devine. And it looks like we're about to run out of time. It looks like it's going to finish 2-2, which would be a pretty okay way to finish the season. York are winning right now, which puts us down a spot to 12, which would put us exactly middle of the table. Which again, if you asked me at the start of the season, would you like a mid-table finish, I pretty much would have snapped our hands off. So it's been overall a pretty good. Oh dear, that was a late goal there. James Alabi scores, and speaking too soon, I suppose. I think that puts us down to 13th, maybe. Nope, it keeps us at 12th. But nevertheless, disappointing to concede a goal so late. Jay Alabi and Purnell just kind of waving at thin air, can't keep the ball out, and looks like we're going to lose the last game of the season, disappointingly. So, not happy to lose the game, but nevertheless, we do finish the season off in 12th place. Let's go ahead and leave the match and take one last look at the table and talk about the season itself. So, Cheltenham actually won the league on goal difference. That's a bit frustrating for Bourne Wood fans, I'm sure. They'll compete in the playoff with Lincoln, Flyde and Wrexham. Flyde, a bit of a surprise package this season. I don't think they were predicted to finish where they are. And at the bottom, Guiseley went down, Ferby went down with Bromley and Tranmere. That's a real shock to the system. I did not expect Tranmere Rovers to be in the relegation zone at the end of the year. That's something I definitely didn't predict. Take a look at the player stats real quick. Southwell actually finished second place in the goal scoring charts. 31 goals and 40 appearances. Dan Holman getting the golden boot with 34 goals in the league, I should say. Then we have Brian Harrison, Francis Fisher, Gooden, and a bunch of players in the mid-20s. Take a look at average rating. Who had the best season average rating wise? A couple of players in there for us. Jenkins with the fifth highest, average rating of 7.23. Devine, average rating of 7.18. Who was a top player? Brian Harrison, apparently. The Barrows striker, scored 25 goals, 15 assists, average rating of 7.4. So that was good. So he had a really nice season, obviously. Man of the match, Dan Holman. Yellow cards, Carl Storr was a naughty boy of the year. Dan Bradley getting 5 red cards. Jesus Christ. So basically, he just spent half the year off being suspended, I guess. Any other important facts? No, not really. Nothing really too interesting there. Back to the season preview. Let's see what was predicted. So Tranmere were actually predicted to finish 2nd place in the table, and they were relegated. That is unbelievable result there. Tranmere Rovers. What the hell is going on here? I may have to pinch a couple of players, though. I think they're still a professional team. They are indeed. So they're going to be the biggest club, no doubt, in the Vanarama North next season. And they may have a lot of money to spend, but I may try and pinch some of their talent, which I'm not sure they have a lot of, being relegated and all. Anyway, we were predicted to finish 22nd in the table, so finishing 12th was a very credible result. Galaxy went down, Ferriby went down. Flied, as I mentioned, they're predicted to finish 16th. They finished in the playoff run, so it was a really good season for them. But anyway, that's pretty much going to wrap up the season. Let's take one last look at the Player Season Awards. The sort by average rating. Obviously, Kane Smith is disqualified. He's only played 6 games. But so far, the player of the season really for us has got to be either James Jenkins or Dale Southwell or Daniel Devine, to be honest with you. They all had fantastic season. James Jenkins averaging 7.27, 12 goals, 17 assists. Dale Southwell notching up 34 goals to fill the void after Elliot Richards left. And Daniel Devine, ever since he came to the club, our defense has looked much, much more stable. He's been a really, really, really good signing for us this season. But yeah, there you have it. I think that'll wrap up this season. So a good season overall. What do you guys think of the season? What areas of the team do you think I should look to improve? Do you have any recommendations on sign-ins? Let me know in the comments below. Thank you all so much for watching this last episode of the 2017-2018 season. I hope you guys are looking forward to the start of next season, and I'll be up with that as soon as possible. But thank you very much. I'll see you guys in the next part. Goodbye, everyone.